It's a story as old as time. I wish I had that when I was a kid. Yeah, when I was a kid, I wish I had Figma or World of Nintendo. But no, for the longest time, all I had was this. Yeah, it's not too often in life that things turn out better than expected, but in the year 2000, that's exactly what happened. A company called Toy Biz released 3 figures based on the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. So let's talk about them a bit here. And for once, I can actually show you the complete set. I don't have all the packaging, unfortunately. I'm not rich. These are toys I purchased as a kid when they were new and also played with. So first off, we have Link and Epona. This will be a continuing trend that they all come with a horse. That was kind of the idea. You get your figures and you get your horse. Right off the bat, I really like the points of articulation. By pressing the button on Link's back, he can perform a chopping motion with his left hand, as nature intended. He can bend his knees, and he can even twist his thighs, likely to accommodate the saddle of Epona. He's got a nice bright green paint job, good skin tone. Under the right lighting, his white tights show off nice musculature. You know, a lot of people have a crush on Ocarina of Time Link. And it's easy to see why. That's not weird, is it? In addition, Link also has a sheath for the Master Sword and the Hylian shield. The sheath can clip to his back through a small peg, and the sword fits inside. If I have one major complaint here, it's that the sword is not fully painted. It's just a flat silver all the way down. It would be nice if the handle was blue, like in the game. Again, beggars can't be choosers, and if nothing else, in the early 2000s, I was definitely a beggar. By comparison, the Hylian shield is much better. There are rivets in the steel, and all the little details are actually raised plastic, giving it a nice bumpy texture. The only real nitpick is that the handle tends to pop off. I think I could fix this with super glue, but that seems a bit too permanent for something so old and priceless. Also, since I'm not actively playing with these toys, the need for that has since passed. I like how Link holds the shield. It kind of twists off to the side, as it does in the game, and it's easy to put the weapons in his hand. I also like that the bottom of his tunic is a looser, floppier rubber. Yes, you can upskirt Link if you really want, but for me, it's just neat that it bends and contorts with his legs. Again, likely so he can ride on the horse, but it's a neat detail. The horse itself, Epona, has 2 pegs on the saddle. This is where Link sits. And otherwise, it's another just sturdy, solid figure. And the tail and mane have a nice rubbery feel, as well as the folds of cloth hanging from the saddle. Mine has been in the heat of the attic, so it looks like some of the glue around the harness is starting to melt. If you have a house that's not a sweltering desert in the summer, this might not be a concern for you. Next is young Zelda and Impa, her guardian, as well as the white horse that they ride off on, fleeing from Ganondorf early in the game. There's not a lot to say about the horse, since it is just Epona repainted, with some slightly different decorations, like the saddle and the harness are different. But for the most part, everything I said about Epona applies to this horse as well. Young Zelda is probably the worst figure. She looks just kind of weird and trollish, like kind of ugly. That said, I think the paint is well done, and again, there's lots of detail. The Hylian crest is bumpy, like textured, and there are nice colors, a nice combination of purples and light blues with the appropriate amount of whites, And maybe Zelda has a bit too much bronzer on. A little bit of Zelda by way of Donald Trump here. The thing I don't like is just how small she is and how there's not a lot of articulation. The cool aspect here being, like Link, these folds of cloth around her waist are made of a flexible kind of rubber, so she can sit easily. A major downside, I would say, is that the dress itself is just a single solid chunk with feet comically protruding from beneath, like very low effort feet. Yeah. Moving along, we've got Impa, Zelda's guardian. In the game, Impa is kind of sharp, too sharp to be truly appealing without a ton of imagination. And in the official artwork, she always looked just a little too intense and intimidating. So having said all that, and don't judge me too hard, I think this figure's kinda hot. Like, Impa's never looked better. Never looked better. But that's not what we're going to talk about. No. What we are going to talk about is that, like Link, this figure also has the same swinging arm functionality. Her weapon is a dagger, also included as a small sheath for the weapon. It slides easily inside, and once everything's together, you can attach it to this peg. And the paint on Impa is notable for the shiny metallic texture on her chest and thighs. My only real nitpick with the Impa figure are her ears. And this again is only going to be an issue for children playing with her, which at this point, I don't imagine too many are. These ears stick out in such a way that if they are to be caught on things too many times, they weaken. My Impa has not lost an ear yet, but one of them is getting very close. And last but not least, we have the King of Evil himself, Ganondorf. And this is actually a multi-contextual figure. You have Ganondorf himself, but when you add the additional mask accessory and his weapon and put him on that horse, well, that's Phantom Ganon, the boss of the Forest Temple. The mask fits on nicely with a little rubber strap, and in fact, the whole thing is a very bendable material, which is great. I could see these horns breaking off if they were more brittle. Ganondorf himself is suitably large compared to Link, Impa, and Zelda. In fact, I'd say the scale on these on the whole is really great. He's truly intimidating, especially with those giant clodhopper feet. The face sculpt here is a little derpy, but you know what? I never really loved this design anyway, so it's cool. The best part of Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time has always been his outfit from the neck down, and this toy does not disappoint. The desert-esque Gerudo attire looks great with cool kind of ragged tears in his cuffs. He's got a flowing, albeit short, rubber cape, and in general, I just really like the kind of weathered look to the paint. Granted, I don't actually know if it always looked like this or if this is some age showing. Regardless, it's a cool effect, so it's worth mentioning. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate Ganondorf's action feature because it's broken. He would twist and swing his weapon, which is a large black trident. Much like the Master Sword, it's unfortunately one solid color, in this case black. In regards to mine, the very tip has fallen off and disappeared. There should be a sharp spike at the end here. Of all the horses, I would say Ganondorf's horse is by far the coolest. Underneath all of this awesome armor, it's probably the exact same model, but the cool black paint job with the red manes and yellow eyes leaves a very strong impression. I love the metallic kind of cuffs above the hooves, and this has, again, more of this rubber serving as flowing material. In this case, it goes all the way around the horse, covering up quite a bit of it, actually. So maybe now you can understand how, compared to this, these were pretty incredible. And even when you measure them against the toys released more recently, say the Jakks Pacific World of Nintendo line, maybe there's some nostalgia involved, but I might actually say they're better. The paint is more detailed, more varied, and the material just feels stronger. So for collectors, or for anyone who's really a fan of the series and just wants something cool to sit on the shelf, you really can't go wrong with this line. Anyway, that's just about everything I have to say, so hit me up in the comments, let me know what you think of these toys, or share the cool things you've collected since. Maybe there's Figmas, or you have statues, or even those super rare Majora's Mask action figures. You know which ones. Wow. Wow. If you have those, you might just be a millionaire.